And we are live. What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Beyond the 90. We've got a very special guest previewing the game against Liverpool. We've got Doug back on the channel. Doug, you were just saying off camera, it's been forever. We haven't talked in a long time. How have you been, my friend?
Yeah, I'm doing very, very well, my friend. How are you?
All good. In my own life, fine. Leicester City, that's another one in itself. So we'll have to see what happens there because Leicester, again, there's as you know, with Rodgers' third season, or we spoke about it literally the last time we did was back on this channel where I was thinking, oh, is it going to get worse? And it kind of has done. So, but anyway, this one's to talk about. Again, we could talk about Leicester and start crying. We'll do that on your channel. So if you joined us now, if you're joining us live, make sure to check out Jug channel at 9 o'clock or in 45 minutes. And otherwise, just if you're back on the video, you click on Doug's channel, links in description. Anyway, blog's over. All of his Twitter and everything's in the description as well. First of all, in terms of Liverpool, how are things working with Liverpool at the moment?
It's not been too bad. I mean, form has been a little bit erratic. We obviously had the 2-2 draws against Chelsea and Tottenham, and then obviously your L is in there as well, losing to you guys at the King Power. But ever since then, we beat Brentford. And we beat Crystal Palace, and we beat Cardiff pretty comfortably as well. So it's been okay. The home form is starting to become a bit of a fortress again. Obviously, we went through that bad spell last season where we kept losing at home for I think it was 6 or 7 games in a row. So and we've obviously brought in a new boy Luis Diaz as well. I think he will start tomorrow. I think Mane has just returned from the AFCON. He's just arrived in Liverpool this exact evening, so
right.
I would be amazed if Mane starts tomorrow.
I don't think he will. And also, I remember since we last spoke, obviously the game, we were speaking about the last game and kind of coming on to that a little bit more. We'll get onto like Luis Diaz and things a little bit more, but I was talking to a couple of Liverpool fans last time and they were going, okay, for the first 15 minutes, you were in that game and you were dominated a lot. That penalty miss changed it. But also another moment that really changed it for me was Mane basically was through on goal and it went straight over the bar. And I was thinking that could have been the moment. And Liverpool fans, from our example, again, I have to feel a little bit happy because that's the most happiest I've felt in a couple of months, mate, to be honest, watching Leicester City. But that was, in terms of that, in terms of the way we performed there, and in terms of that performance and Liverpool, was that again? I don't think you were terrible in that match, but it just nothing was happening for you that game.
No, 100%. Henderson's tried to do volleys from about 30 yards. Every time he tried a volley, it was either going that way, and that way. It wasn't going anywhere near the target. Salah missed a penalty. I have to say though, I thought Schmeichel was very, very good that night. I think he definitely kept you guys in the game. But I think you marshalled Salah. I think you marshalled Jota. And I think you marshalled Mane out of the game pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, thanks for that. I mean, since that time, again, a lot of players went off to AFCON. They've come back, but the mentality is weaker. We've got a few players back for that game. But it's, again, you guys are going to look for revenge, I think. And obviously, in terms of when we lost our penalties, now that one. Now, one of my questions was as well, you're saying Anfield's turning into a bit of a fortress. When we've managed to win against you guys, it's been, I won't say it's been equal. I think you've won more games than us. I think every time we've beaten you, it has been at our ground. I'm pretty sure. And since we came into the Premier League, I'm pretty sure we haven't beaten you at your ground.
I was just trying to remember, didn't David Nugent maybe score a winner, maybe 14-15? Unless I'm thinking completely strangely. But
I've got a 2-2. It was a 2-2 actually, because I think Wes Morgan hit him in the face and it was a penalty.
Yes,
that was the one. And then later on, David Nugent got a goal, and I can't remember who the second. It might have been, or David Nugent got 2. That was a 2-2 draw. But I think that's the only positive result, ironically, since we came.
Yeah, so we're probably going back to probably the 90s since you last beat us, possibly.
Yeah, at Anfield. I mean, it's been a while. However, like I said to you last time, I think it was like, may the best team win, but anything can happen with Leicester City, and we'll have to see with this one. However, I think the Anfield Fortress will, as you were saying, going to work in your favour for this one. Obviously, because you've got a stronger team and a stronger position, but I think that's going to swing things in your for positively for you.
Yeah, definitely. And you're coming off the back of a really bad I, I suppose you could say derby defeat, wasn't it? It was I've never seen Leicester play that badly, like they did against Forest. But as much as Leicester were bad, I thought Forest were very, very good. And the thing is, defensively is where you've worried me all season. Set pieces as well. You don't seem to have sorted out your mistake. It did look like a couple of weeks ago that maybe you were starting to sort of slowly now beginning to sort of defend set corners and free kicks, etc. But against Forest, it was just straight again. Like that first man is just you just cannot seem to mark the first man, and it was Worrell that got the header in there. So I do worry for you guys tomorrow if we get a corner or a free kick, that whether you'd be able to defend it.
There's that, and I totally agree. And we thought we weren't past it, but we were like, okay, we were atrocious, and then we're like not bad, and not bad was so much better than atrocious. So we're like, okay, we'll take this for now. And then it just seems that Nottingham Forest was like back down to 0. And I agree, Nottingham Forest were great in that game. We give them a lot of credit, but I think coming into this game, my issue I think will probably come into this was when the first goal went in. We thought the lowest point of the season was going to be Tottenham. And then 19 days later, that result comes and it's even worse because of the championship team. And again, the goal in 2 minutes, but the mentality is in the dirt. Hopefully, Brendan Rodgers can pick him up. I'm not convinced by it. But yeah, anyway, we'll come back onto it because again, I'm supposed to be interviewing here instead of talking about my team. I do that all the time on this channel. I was going to talk about injuries. I'm pretty sure that apart from Mane, everybody else, I think pretty much everybody else is ready to go. Harvey Elliott's back and Curtis Jones is back. Your squad looks like it's going to be full strength, and especially in that midfield area, I'm actually quite scared of that because that's a lot of people.
Yeah, and this is why I'm not Jurgen Klopp, because he's got a decision to make tomorrow. I mean, Harvey Elliott came back in against Cardiff, did not look out of place as well. So we could potentially see Harvey Elliott tomorrow. I wouldn't be too surprised if we don't see Harvey Elliott. But yes, full disposal of players. I can't remember the last time I said that. And actually, to have that strength and depth on the bench as well. This is what I've been saying for ages. Liverpool have needed strength and depth. No matter if it's like in the starting 11, it's on the bench, because our bench has not been great. You look at Manchester City's bench. They've got probably a second team. Yeah, they've got a second team that you bring out. So the fact that we've got
second team, to compete with the top 6, not just a second team, they've got an unbelievable team.
Yeah. So the fact that we've got like players now that can come off the bench is very, very good. So yeah, tomorrow's team will be very interesting. I do think that the new boy will play, Luis Diaz. I think that Mane will be on the bench. I'd be amazed if he starts tomorrow. I think you'll find Salah will definitely play. He's been in Liverpool, I think, since Monday. So he looks very, very determined as well. So I think it could be a bit of a long night for Kasper Schmeichel tomorrow.
Kasper Schmeichel and potentially Luke Thomas, whoever plays on the left-hand side. I mean, we've got a few players back. He did well again. He did really well to keep Salah in his pocket. However, with the class that Salah is, and as you were saying, I saw the pictures and saw what they were talking about, and being on Liverpool shows and talking about them, they were like, he's geared up, and I went, oh no, because that's no fun for a team with no defense, and I'm not looking forward to that, to be honest. But we might, again, it depends on what formation and tactics, because we've been chopping it. But now with the selection headache, because I remember Jurgen Klopp saying to be the same team game in, game out because of the lack of squad depth. Now that's the case, has he been changing it up a lot more? Has he been playing a similar team? Because again, now you're saying you got all these players back. You're going to have less likely to have these players in them positions, because the team doesn't pick itself like it did a couple of years ago.
Yeah. I think he's been doing the rotation very, very well this time. There's been some games where Kelleher's come in, and there's been some games where Allison's played. There's been some games where Simicast has come in. There's been some games where Keita's come in, Ox has come in, Firmino, Jota. He's done it very, very well this season, and hence why we're still, in 4 cup competitions as well: Premier League, Champions League, FA Cup, and League Cup as well. He's done very, very well. I think he's learned his ways from not rotating, because last season was a season to forget. But then again, we did get 3rd place, which I'm still in shock how we managed to get 3rd place, but he is doing much, much better this season with the rotation, and it is adding to effect. We've got. I haven't said the words that we can actually rely on a number 2 for a long, long time, but Kelleher has been very, very good whenever he's came in. Minamino has not had many, many chances, but he's taken his chance. Origi as well. He seems to be, getting a couple of goals as well. So I like what he's doing, and I think if he keeps on doing it, then I think we will be there or there. But I'm not going to say I'm not going to say that we're going to win the Premier League. I think it's likely to be over. Well, realistically, it is over, but there's still that wee chance, because we do have a game in hand against I think it's Leeds at Anfield. So it's never over until it's over. If we're going into the City game 3 or 6 points behind, then we have every chance.
Yeah, honestly, it could happen. However, what you're doing is the most important thing is you're building for the future. Again, regardless of what Salah is and what happens with him, you've got that opportunity. And it's one thing that I criticised, and I was coming on, I think at the beginning of the season, got that completely wrong and thought Leicester will finish top 4. I'll take that one back. But I've made my reason why I didn't think that Van Dijk would hit the ground because of a long-term injury and things like that as well. But it just seems like everything's working your direction. And what it is, this time last season, or maybe about a month before, we both were suffering mega injuries, and that seems to have sorted itself out. And for me, that's been one of the biggest gripes with Liverpool, in terms of, obviously, it probably not helps you playing the same team over and over and over again. But now you've got a bigger squad. It seems like the injuries have kind of freed up to kind of now we can go and try and challenge and compete in multiple competitions as well.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, Harvey Elliott is a prime example. He went to the Leeds game, got absolutely crunched, and he comes back against Cardiff, first game back, and he only scores. So it's all about competitiveness in the squad, and everyone seems to be very, very happy with it as well. Matip's been a big plus for me this season. Could not stay fit for the last couple of seasons, but I think him having Konate, having Gomez to compete for that position, and obviously Van Dijk is going to start every single game, as well. Maybe not every single game, but it does come to a fact.
He's the leader at the back.
Yeah, 100%, and even if I've said that Simicast has come in, Robertson's still having a good season as well, but it's going to be a very interesting game tomorrow. It'll be an interesting game to see what you line up with, and actually who plays up front as well, because I know that your obviously star man is not going to be available, Vardy.
Yeah. And he's still out with an injury. I don't think anything's coming back of that. But I know that any top 6 team we come against, Vardy's a menace, which again shows you how good of a keeper, good of a player he is. And there's people that still write him off. I mean, he's been injured for nearly 2 months now, and he's still towards the top of the table in terms of goal scorers, just because everything's shared around a lot more as well. But it'll be interesting to see, because Brendan Rodgers has got the tactics right. I'm not going to say that you're going to play the same way, but he has got the tactics right. And we've been chopping and changing. We'll have to see what happens. But in terms of that, there's been a lot of hype around Luis. Obviously, it's coming for you guys as well. I can't not expect you to judge his entire career or off just a brief performance or so. But what are your What is there a lot of Liverpool fans excited? Do you think he's going to be one for the future? And is he worth the hype? Because obviously with social media, everything just gets hyped way out of proportion a lot of the time as well, and it is still very, very small at the moment. It's still very early.
It's still very early. I think the main expectations would be if he gets 5 or 10 goals, I'm not going to go anything crazy and say, "Oh, you need to get 15, you need to get 20." No. Let him just settle in. It's going to take him time to get settled into the Premier League. Like if he makes his debut tomorrow, then absolutely fantastic. He'll likely play tomorrow, and then potentially Mane will be back in for Burnley on Saturday. From what I've been reading, he looks a very, very good prospect. We've played Porto twice this season. He was probably their best player at Anfield as well. So we've scouted him I think we've scouted him for like 2.5 years. And just in November, we started to show a real interest. And obviously, it's nice to beat Spurs to a transfer, because basically they put their interest in, and then I was waking up about 7 o'clock, and the Athletic were saying, "Oh, Liverpool are finalising the deal to sign Luis Diaz." So I'm excited. I am very, very much excited to see him play, and I'm not giving him too much pressure for sure. But 5 to 10 goals, I think that would be a good enough season, and then he can have a full pre-season, and then it's all about next season.
Yeah, and I think again, depending what happens with Salah and the whole situation there, but you've got an option for that again there as well. So, just coming into that in terms of the midfield, obviously, last time you were playing, you had certain players missing and things like that. Now they're all fit. Who do you think would start in the midfield? Because again, as you're saying, the likes of Harvey Elliott just coming back, it might be too soon. I mean, but in terms of that, you've got, again, if you've got a midfield three, if you want to play, you've got the choice of pretty much everybody, and it's quite scary for a Leicester fan, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he'll go Fabinho. I think Fab is a shoe-in. Fab is a shoe-in because he's defensive midfielder for me. I think Thiago will play because I think we need somebody to just calm the midfield down. I'm not wanting the Fabinho, Hendo, Ox midfield that we had the King Power last time because obviously we obviously lost. I've got a funny feeling it'll be Harvey Elliott. I don't know why. I've got a funny feeling Harvey Elliott will start tomorrow. So I'm going to go Fab, Thiago, Elliott.
Interesting, because I know he's just come back from injury, and it's obviously there's obviously a couple of things. He is young, and I think he's a great talent. At the same time, you've got to kind of break him in slowly. And again, it's we're having this situation with Ricardo. Obviously, he was injured in the performance here on the 22nd of December, and we know that Ricardo is one of the best. I genuinely think he's one of the best full right backs when he's at full tilt. But the problem is he's not been there since his injury. Now we're coming into this game, you're going, okay, what exactly is going to happen with him? And I'm not sure, but what we're doing is we're taking our time and building him in, and getting in there. So in terms of that, it might just take time, but because he's young, they can bounce back quite quickly. So we'll have to see about that. And then, the rest of the back four, I think that pretty much sorts itself out, doesn't it? Really?
Yeah, it'll be Robbo, Van Dijk, Matip, and Trent.
So I can't imagine that. Fair enough. Just obviously, I just want to get your thoughts again, but we'll go before the final. I know you did a watch along, so make sure you go and subscribe to Doug's channel, and you can see the watch along there as well of the AFCON final. But just before that, having Salah versus Mane, what were your thoughts? Obviously, going into that, probably Liverpool fans, I win either way. But what was your whole thinking behind that? Because I think that's interesting. Because I've never been in that position in terms of a fan following a team like Leicester, but that must have been again a really unique experience as well as a Liverpool fan.
It was weird. Let me just say that it was weird seeing Mane versus Salah for two different countries for sure. But I had predicted Senegal to win the Africa Cup of Nations before the tournament began. I thought this was going to be their year. I thought they would maybe win after 90 minutes in the final. Obviously, that didn't happen, but I think Mane had more pressure on him than Salah did. I think Salah is the main man in Egypt. I don't think Mane is, and I think For him to win the African Cup of Nations with a penalty, he'll obviously be indebted by everybody in Senegal for sure. But I think the fact Mane's won it, I think it'll make him determined a lot more. Salah losing it is obviously look, it's not the nicest of ways to lose a penalty shootout. But what I did say is that I feel Salah will be a more determined player this season, and an angry Mo Salah and a determined Mo Salah is something you definitely need. But I enjoyed the final. I think it was a very, very good tournament. A lot of refereeing debacles. Obviously, one referee blowing up after 85 minutes. Yeah, I've never seen that before. But it was a very, very good tournament, and I am happy at the end that Senegal won, because had they not won, I think that would have been their best chance gone. Egypt will still get more chances to win more AFCONs. I think they're on 7 right now. So it was about time Senegal had won it, because you look back to the 2002 World Cup team that they had. Papa Bouba Diop, El Hadj Diouf, Aliou Cisse, he was the manager, he was in there as well. The fact that they hadn't won an AFCON until now is baffling. But hopefully that settles them down. But I really enjoyed it, and I was happy that Senegal won.
Yeah, and I think I was speaking to somebody else as well, and another Liverpool podcast I did, and they were saying they would prefer, as a kind of a neutral, but obviously a Liverpool fan, they would prefer Mane to win it, because they wouldn't know. Interesting, your take on this. If Mane would have been able to keep up the performances if he would have lost the final, and all the pressure was on him as well, kind of going through the rest of the season. Yeah,
definitely, and I think. Hopefully, it makes Mane a lot better as well for the rest of the season. I think Mane's been criticised way too often by Liverpool fans, and it's very, very sad when that happens.
What do you mean by he's criticised too much on social media, or just because again he's still one of the top scorers in the league, or is it just that when you're put against somebody like Salah, you're always going to look average, even if you're not?
Like there's actual journalists saying there's friction between the two. Mane consoled Salah. There's no friction there. It's just journalists trying to make up media stories just to piss the other one off. It's just one of those things. But I think Mane has been criticised a lot this season on social media, and you can obviously tell us he has been on a bit of a goal drought, but hopefully he will now settle down and have a good rest of the season. I still think he is capable of getting 10 to 15, 20 goals this season. He is. And to be fair, Jota, to his credit, he's actually done what many people would predict him to do.
Yeah, and a lot of your buys, especially from Premier League teams, have been so good in terms of Wijnaldum. Obviously, I know he left in a free, but from what you got, because I was laughing, going, "Really? Why do you want him?" Mane was another one. Again, ironically, I think you pipped Tottenham to that one as well. I think that was quite fun. Apart from that, I think obviously coming back to the game, I think Liverpool will be right up for this one. Obviously, you've won against Cardiff, and that was a good result. I think it's just going to be in terms of mentality, and the crowd, I think, is going to play a big issue. But I think in general, that squad is so well drilled and it's so well put together in terms of Liverpool squad as well.
Yeah, definitely, and I think you're coming to Anfield. Well, there's never a good time to come to Anfield, but I just think it'd be the most Leicester City thing if they got a result tomorrow. It'd be the most Leicester City thing if they got a result tomorrow. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, obviously, but if it does, it really probably all but ends our title hopes. So we have to be consistent. We have to win every single game from now on until the end of the season.
Yeah, I think you have to. And finally, something that I can't believe we've not got onto until this moment in time now, Brendan Rodgers. I mean, obviously you saw the match. It looks like you were watching the match against Nottingham Forest. What are your thoughts? I mean, we spoke on it in October where we mentioned set piece issue. Be honest, mate, we're mentioning exactly the same things we're talking about now, but apart from the mentality, what we're seeing now is that I'll just read out some quote again. We'll go for those of you watching now, we're going to go live on Doug's channel in a few minutes, so make sure you go over there and check that one out. But in terms of I've lost the tweets now, but he's essentially, I don't know if he did similar things at Liverpool, but he's now throwing the players under the bus and going, there are no leaders here. And for me, it's so strange that he's saying things like this. I don't know. From what I heard from other fans, that he did kind of a similar thing at Liverpool. It just seems like he hasn't learned his lessons.
Yeah, I think we've not seen that side to Brendan Rodgers as a Leicester City manager. I've never seen him come out in a press conference and say that these players have to do. They're obviously no leaders and all this. I think that was quite strange from him, actually, that happened. But the thing is, I think he did say at the end of that press conference at the end of the Forest game is that he feels that maybe this core of players is coming to the end. Mm-hmm. So it was very, very strange, but it does kind of have similar comparisons to his last full season at Liverpool.
Yeah, and it seems like the same problems are having, and it seems like, especially, it felt like everything was imploding with the things that were happening off the pitch, the things that were in terms of Leicester City, the mentality of the players. The players just looked done, and they were just fed up, not listening to the manager. The manager's tactics were all over the place as well. So again, they're saying about leadership. Yes, we have Vardy injured, but Kasper Schmeichel's on the bench. So you're looking at that going, well, why didn't you play him in the game in a local derby? Again, it's hindsight, but even then you're going, if you want to speak about leadership, there's one that's done everything. And I was listening, I don't know if you've watched the Kasper Schmeichel documentary. He was talking about when they won the Premier League. He goes, I've won League Two, I've won the Championship. The actual process is the same and the mentality is the same. It's just at a higher level. So you just do the same thing again. So I think what it is that his time might be coming to an end, because the owner's ambition is not to do this. And also, if you talk about a rebuild, I think part of it is trying to go, well, why haven't you backed me as much? Bearing in mind, his signings have been Ryan Bertrand, his signings himself, Yannick Vestergaard, and also Jose Perez. I mean, he's only got 12 goals and 9 assists in 3 years. Well, 4 years that we're coming up to this year as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's not good enough. For a Cam and for the amount he's paid, it's not good enough. Anyway, Doug, I could rant on. We're going to go over to your channel and do some more ranting and talking about Leicester City there. Again, links to all of the comments, links to them will be in the description. Again, we've got Chris here. Hi, Chris. How you doing? Yes, we will be live with Chris in a couple of minutes, and on Doug's channel now. Doug, would you like to give the people your shout out? But I'll left the links to the in the description as well.
Yeah, my YouTube is the Dugout Football channel. We are literally going to be live in about 22 minutes over there, speaking more Leicester Liverpool. So that should be very, very interesting. That is my Twitter handle. Well. Yeah.
Oh, that's sorry. Just blocked your Twitter handle. Yeah.
That's all right. My Twitter handle is nrod_992. My Instagram is Douglas.horn, and I'm also on Facebook at Douglas James Horn.
Brilliant. Doug, it's been a pleasure, my friend. Best of luck for the rest of the season, apart from the next game, because we don't have to play after that. But apart from that, yeah, it's been amazing chatting with you, mate. Thank you so much.
Pleasure. Cheers.
Brilliant. And we'll see everybody, instead of in the next video, on Doug's channel. See you later. Goodbye.